Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to give you my thoughts on Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. And as if I haven't had some hot takes already, per se, in terms of me kind of going against the grain, we have one that's probably going to be maybe my biggest yet, at least pre 2024. Um, and that is that I actually like Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I know. Holy shit, take my cinephile movie card away. Now I actually always liked the first Ghost Rider. It's one I actually watched quite a bit when I was younger, when it came out. And then when Spirit of Vengeance came out, I was 15 years old, and it was still kind of a letdown for me. For whatever reason, my 15-year-old mind still didn't think very much of it, and I have not watched it since. I'm 28 years old now. And being a big Nicolas Cage fan, he's one of my favorite actors of all time, I thought it was finally time to sort of try to reevaluate it. And lo and behold, I actually really fucking enjoyed myself watching this movie, guys. In all sincerity, I really, truly did. Now, believe it or not, we can have different takes. That doesn't make us stupid. That doesn't make us, less of a intellectual, for liking something that most don't. I think we just need to be more adults about that. A bit more adult about that kind of thing. But anyhow, the director, Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor, who helmed the Crank movies with Jason Statham as well as Gamer with Gerard Butler, along with Jonah Hex, which I don't think as highly of, but it wasn't terrible either, despite some butchering. So with them being the director, I see pretty much the style of those movies applied here, especially the Crank films, along with a little bit of Gamer, just kind of that frantic, chaotic, eccentric nature about it that I think added like a different sort of energy to it. There's definitely more of like a particular filmmaking flair than there was with the first movie. Although the first movie was like competently enough made, there's definitely more of like a vibe and I guess a style, like it or dislike it, to this one. Now the budget of this one was pretty much cut in half. I think the budget of the first movie was actually about 100 million for some reason. The budget of this one being around 40-50 million or so. And I gotta say, I honestly didn't notice it that much. I think at times the CG was better, especially on the motorcycle and on Johnny Blaze himself, whose design they adjusted a bit with the skull. Instead of being white, is more like this charcoal, like burnt color. And at first I didn't care for that, but watching it again, I think it actually kind of works better. At least, as the years progress of him being the rider, I think it sort of fits. You do have a recasting for Mephisto, aka Marvel's Devil. Peter Fonda played him in the first one. Ciaran Hinds plays him in this one. And I will say I do miss Peter Fonda in the part. He had this really sort of quiet but well-spoken, more restrained intensity about him that I liked a lot. Ciaran Hinds is a little bit more on the nose, kind of more outwardly, evil and a prick. Not that Peter Fonda's wasn't in the first movie, but it is what it is. They reshot some of the footage from, Johnny's deal and everything. So as much as I preferred Peter Fonda in the role, I don't think Ciaran Hinds is a bad replacement. I have liked him in numerous films. Idris Elba, who actually builds kind of a good rapport, sort of camaraderie dynamic between his character and, Cage as Johnny Blaze, of course. I enjoyed him in the movie. Violente Placido, I believe is how I pronounce her name. I actually preferred to Eva Mendes in the first movie, which might be funny to some. And the plot with Nicolas Cage kind of being recruited essentially by Elba in a different sector of the church in Europe to help this boy who's being pursued by Mephisto, who ends up being a version of Danny Ketch. It kind of screams a cliche sort of end of the world, stop the devil type of plot, just with Ghost Rider. But it fit well enough, I suppose. I didn't mind the European setting, different than just like the big city type deal. And I actually really enjoyed the action sequences. Like I said before, the CG actually looked better at times. There was a higher body count in the first movie, which is kind of conflicting with the budget constraint. He uses his chain a lot to just like pull people apart. You see him like just burn up and disintegrate in an instant, sure, but it still looks pretty fucking cool to me. You have him like some funny bits between him and the kid, with the kid kind of envisioning how he pees when he's Ghost Rider, and how it cuts to that a couple times. It's actually pretty fun. him like breathing back bullets, and when they dry fire into his skull. Yeah, it is a bit more absurd. It has again that Crank, sort of flavor to its sense of humor and its just sort of like way of things that I think actually kind of lended itself nicely to the movie. Sure, you can say that this creates an environment for Nick Cage to be what the internet perceives Nick Cage to be, and he does get a bit more kind of crazy and insane in this movie. That kind of goes with the lore they're telling about the Ghost Rider, of Zarathos, or the spirit of what he is, kind of being driven mad as an angel. And so Cage sort of becomes more unhinged in this movie too. But I think again that kind of fits the narrative they're going for. So you have Nick Cage kind of getting to act outwardly a bit more, overboard, but he also gets to show a bit more emotion in this movie. It is over the top, sure, but I don't know. I still felt like an endearment, and even if Nicolas Cage is in a so-so movie, he always puts an effort in, and I think this is definitely a case of that. And I'm someone who actually really likes Spirit of Vengeance now. You also have like Johnny Whitworth, who I remember from The 100 and Blind Spot, playing a secondary villain, Blackout. I thought he worked well enough towards the latter half of the movie, sort of like this decaying ability. And I just sort of like not the road trip, but kind of like the on-the-run aspect of the plot in this one. I do miss Sam Elliott, but I don't know, guys. Like, comment and challenge me on it if you want to be a prick, if you really have to. But I gotta say, I just really, really like Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I know it did not do very well, and they canceled a potential third movie, but it is what it is. I really liked it. I honestly loved aspects of it. I just found myself caught up in it for whatever reason. Maybe I was in the right mood. Maybe I'm just easier to please than you, if you want to say that. Maybe I just have a different opinion. Oh. But yeah, I'm not sure what I'd rate it, honestly. It could be anywhere from like a B to an A minus. Just on enjoyment factor alone, it would be pretty high, and isn't that what it's supposed to be? But yeah. So when you guys think about it, do you actually like it too? Are you like the one other person? Or how do you feel about the first movie as well? Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, of course, and Twitter.